Hello, welcome to the Collector RC. Alright, so this is part 3. I already kind of have some things laid out here. We're actually at Little Bro's little mini shop here and a garage. And right now, so we have, I already went ahead and jumped ahead and got this done here. Let's see. Focus here for you. There we go. So went ahead and finished those. Make sure it's got that all done. And then let's see, we got this here done. The transmission assembly with the motor attached. I do have the other pieces here, but I didn't want them to fall off, so they are attached. So far we got that, the shocks. Kind of see there. Here, let's help you out here. This is not going to let me. We could zoom in a little bit for you. There you go. Got the shocks there, that there, transmission, axles, that's all the links. And then now we're going to go ahead and work on the steering servo installation. And what I'll do this time, instead of like filming it for long periods of time, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I have out ready to go. What I'm going to work on, I'm going to build it off camera and then show you what I did afterwards. That way you don't have to sit here and make the episodes a little bit faster. But anyway, so I got laid out. This is the servo I'm going to use. Went ahead and pre-made, of course, all those off camera. And we'll go on to this part here, but I'll end up showing this part because I'll have to add what I do here over here. So I will do that as fast as I can. Okay, so I went ahead and jumped up went a little further than I actually ended up entirely finishing the whole page. So we got this part with the steering servo installation. That part's all done. And then you can see there, the putting screws in is a pain in the butt. That's why I just kind of skipped all that, because that's pretty much all it is. It's really just putting the screws in. That's why I'm not really going to film that. And then we have all the links that will go ahead and we're going to go ahead and attach the chassis to its destination length, which you can see here in the instructions. That's where they're asking. So sit on the first set of holes there. And then next we do basically put on the other side of the chassis with the sliders. And then yeah, we'll move on. We'll end up go ahead and I'll build this part again, just putting screws together, and I'll explain kind of how it goes together. There was a little trick with the servo. It didn't quite fit. There's a little piece of plastic in there. I ended up having to cut a little bit, which wasn't quite enough. And I was like, well, I don't want to do too much altercations to this. So I did end up squeezing it in there. So that is something to be aware of. And I think there's a typo in the screws. When I finish all this, I'm gonna go through and explain all the pros and cons of using the instruction books and what because I have heard that people have had complaints. I mean, I was highly suggested to watch videos of other people building this, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna do it. And so far, so good. So, yeah. All right, I'm gonna put this part together. Okay, so it's actually another day, and I'm actually back in my my little shop here. Yeah, just kind of showing some of the stuff I have up there. I had to switch some things. Yeah, look at that purdy little thing right there. That's for that. But anyway, so right now I don't have this actually installed. It's just sitting there. But that is the next step. I went ahead and kind of jumped ahead again. Just because I noticed that, you know, it's an informational style kind of a series and build, and we're probably not gonna get a lot of views. Obviously the last video is did not get very many views at all. So we realized this is kind of, you know, it's particular to those who are going to build one of these things. So that's why I'm not going to get too detailed. But if you ever have any questions, any of you guys, about any of the RCs that we're doing, and if you've been following us for a while, if you're already subscribed, you kind of know that we do our best to try to answer questions and help you guys out as much as we can if you ask them. So anyway, so we got the chassis, everything mounted to the chassis is put together. We got the steering servo in there. Next step is going to be installing the transmission with the motor in. And then it looks like after that we set up the steering, so the steering on the axles, and then the axles get installed, and then yeah. So I think for this one, we'll probably end it for this series. This will be a short one. We'll probably be pretty short for this until we get to the painting process, because that'll be a lot more entertaining. And I want to relate the way we are going to do our painting with the stuff that you guys paint when you do any of the bodies and for any of your cars, even if it is for the SCX10-ii's, for, you know, Grand Arma bodies, any of that, you know, the Subaru stuff, any of those kind of things. So we are trying a cool technique that yeah, will hopefully work out. So just a real quick explanation of this and the process of this, what it took. You can show you right now. I don't know if you can see that. My thumb is pretty beat up. There's so many screws. A lot of the plastic components here didn't quite line up, and we had to pull and force. I had to have somebody else kind of help me. Also, because nothing is pre-threaded, and as far as the metal screws going into plastic, so you have to thread them yourselves. Well, it makes it really difficult when they're not perfectly lined up in here, and you're putting a screw from this side going through metal into another piece of plastic that's small. That plastic will just give if the screw doesn't catch it. So I had to we had to pinch them on there, and a whole bunch of crazy stuff. My servo, which is just a standard 25 kg servo, didn't quite fit in. There's some plastic, I think you can actually kind of see it right here, that actually pushes. I had to cut some of it out, and it still kept pushing the servo to push out this way. So it took forever to get that to get pushed in. And I don't know why that was done that way. I don't know why that is. It's a standard servo. So if you happen to be putting these together, I don't know if you dealt with that too. So we fixed it, found a way around it, but that was a pain in the butt. But everything's going pretty good so far. Haven't had any major issues. We didn't get a response about what tooth pinion we're going to use for the motor. So right now what we got in there is a 15, and because we had to go with the 5mm set, and so I was going to have you guys help us decide whether we should start off with the 13, 14, 15, 16, or 17 tooth pinion to start this out. It goes all the way from 11 to 18, but because we didn't get a response, we decided to go kind of towards the middle, and instead of 14, we went with 15. It does come with a 14, but like I said before, the motor and setup we're using is a 5mm shaft, so we had to get bigger ones. There's not a whole lot of options. I was going to do tip covers with the theme of the vehicle that I'm going with being trail, and doing a lot of scale type stuff with it as well. The only option I could find were the Trio, and they're heavy weighted, which I gotta be careful when I'm putting in weight, and I didn't really want to put them on the diff covers. So right now they're going to stay red. They're going to stay the plastic stock ones. Otherwise they do have Trio. You have two different options that I saw from Trio. One was the black and brass trimming, and it's 51 grams, I believe, 51.6 grams. I think that's what they're showing on a scale. And then they have a gold one that's got some kind of cool laser downward cut texture to it. And something that the cuz brought up to me when we were talking about it is that that's cool looking, but it might cause some friction when you're sliding over stuff, and it could bind you up on things. So, but those are the options that I found. One is $26, the other one is $36 or $34, something like that. So kind of pricey, but if that's what you want to do with or go with. And then also you have different shocks. I think these shocks are going to be great for right now. This car, the kit comes with some pretty good stuff. So, yeah. So I'll go ahead and we're going to end this one here. And then I'm going to go ahead in the next video, the next one we'll be mounting all of this. I may already have this mounted in. Some of the stuff kind of pre-started like I did before. And then just kind of explain any difficulties or any things I came up with. Well, one of the things too is that I have been noticing quite a bit of either misprints or misinformation in the book itself as far as instructions. So, but we'll go over that. Like I said, in the end, I'll go over all the pros and cons of using the instruction books without going over videos if it's possible, if you need to use videos. So far, we're so good. So, all right, guys. You guys have a good one and be safe.